Rev up your engines! Today I'm going to show you how to prepare your car for the upcoming political riots. Now, having lived in Houston, Texas for decades, I'm used to preparing for hurricanes, so you use kind of the similar mindset. When bad things are happening and the crap's hitting the fan, you want to be able to take off as fast as you can. So don't let your car hold you behind. The first thing you want to make sure that you're ready for is not have your tires going flat. Check your tires. If they're all worn out like this clunker, get them changed now. Because if there's rotting going on, the tire store isn't going to be changing anytime soon. And it also goes for dry rotting ones like these that are dry rotting away. Change them sooner than later so you don't get stranded with a flat tire during your escape. Sounds like it's getting closer. I better get ready. Now the next thing is gasoline. Fill your car up to the top with gasoline. And if you got gas cans, fill them up for spares. Not just 1 gallon. If you got 5-gallon containers, fill them up too. And if you're like me and have multiple cars, fill the car that gets the best gas mileage up first. In this case, the Toyota Matrix. Then realize that all the other cars have big gas tanks. Guess what you can use them as? Storage tanks. Fill them up too, so if you need to refuel, you got tanks full of fuel that you can just siphon out and put into your car that gets the best gas mileage. But don't wait till it's too late like people did in Houston during some of the hurricanes. Then the gas stations are out of gas or the lines are long. The lines are still short, so fill them up now. And if you've got an oil burner like this old Scion, get yourself some 5-quart jugs of oil so your engine won't blow for lack of lubrication when you're making your escape. I love these plastic jugs because they're resealable. You can throw a few of them in the trunk and you'll never be short of oil. Just like my warning about gasoline, buy the oil now, because in Houston when it was hurricane time, they started jacking up the price of gas, oil. Get it now before the price is too high. And of course, if you got a normal vehicle and it's time for an oil change, heck, change it now, because there's certainly going to be a future where things will turn back to normal and you don't want to wear your engine out. So if it's time for an oil change, do it now. Have your battery checked now. Most auto parts stores check them for free. You can buy tools for as little as $40 that'll check them, because if your car won't start, you can't make your escape. You don't want to have to abandon your car because the battery's dead and it won't start. Let's face it, if things get hot and heavy, no one's going to stop to give you a jump start. And if you abandon your car, you might come back to find it's been turned over, or worse, it's been set on fire, and you come back to a case of the crispy crumble car. And realize, of course, that it is winter, and winter is hardest on batteries. So, you don't want to be stranded in the cold weather with a car that won't run, with the rioters coming towards you. Last I checked, Walmart still had plenty of batteries in stock. And speaking of phones, you don't want your battery to go dead, so here's another thing you should have. These little lithium-ion battery jump starters work great. Now, if you did forget to check your battery and it's dead, you can use them to jump start your battery, but they're good for a lot of other things, especially your phone, your information system. All the good ones have USB out, so you can plug your USB into it, then plug the other end into your phone, and you can charge the phone up for days using one of these things. And this particular one has 7,000 joules. Realize 7,000 we divided by about 2.3 for what my cell phone uses. So that's an awful lot of hours you can run this phone. So now you know how to get your car ready for the upcoming political riots or any other emergency that might arise. Because with a little bit of preparation, you can be prepared for just about anything. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Joe Graff says, Scotty, what's the best advice on carbon buildup on intake valves on direct injection engine? All right, well, buy one that doesn't have that problems, like the new Toyotas. They have dual systems. It has both GDI injectors and injectors on the intake manifold on the port that keeps them clean. It's a much better design, and many manufacturers are making that way. If you have one that isn't, that's just GDI, one, you gotta use good quality gasoline. Don't buy the cheapest gas you can find line. Stick with the name brand place and go there all the time to the same place. And if you want, maybe once a year, you could get some good GDI fuel injector cleaner. And since the fuel is sprayed directly in, you can't put it in the tank. That ain't gonna work because that bypasses the intake valves. That you spray into the intake so it gets over the valves and cleans. Or you pay a mechanic like me. We have machines that inject it directly in. And those work much better because they have layers of cleaning. There's a guy in Albuquerque, New Mexico that sells an excellent machine. You're not going to buy one because it costs an awful lot of money. He sells it to mechanics, and then we put the cleaner in, and it takes about an hour, hour and a half, and it has various stages, and it cleans everything out. And you could have a guy do that maybe once every year, year and a half or something, and it will get it off. Hunter says, our Ram transmission's bad. Well, a lot of them are, but here's the thing. You got to figure out what one is in it, because some of the Rams, they had Cummins diesel engines, but Allison transmissions, made in the United States. Excellent transmissions. You gotta really research a vehicle these days because what do they call them? World cars now. The parts come from all over the world. And you wanna see where is your part coming from? What company makes it? Because you never know. You need to do some research. Overall, Chrysler has had a history of transmission problems since day one of their automatic transmissions. But like I say, they've used Allison transmissions. Some of their stuff now uses Aisin Toyota transmissions in them. I had a Jeep the other day. I was looking at it, a Toyota transmission, good transmission. So you got to do a little research. It isn't one size fits all anymore. You got to understand what you're buying. So always do research. If you don't know, ask me and I'll tell you. Hey Scott, what electric sports car should I buy? If I were you, I'd hold up on that because those are rapidly changing times. The prices, who's making what battery system is going to be out there. Don't get stuck with an old battery system when everyone else got new. It's like, don't get stuck with a beta system when everything went VHS. I would hold up on that. But if you really do, buy a used one. Because I had a customer, he bought a Tesla Model S, very fast car, right? He paid 45 grand with 15,000 miles. The guy who bought it originally paid 125,000. You get a much better deal getting the used one because they have no resale value. But I would still hold out for a while to see who's making the best ones and what technology is going to win. What happens if you're stuck with a stupid car that's got a battery system they don't even use anymore? Maybe they'll switch to hydrogen fuel cells and all those battery ones will be... So don't, unless you can get one real cheap. And you can often get used ones cheap now because they have no resale values, like I say. Kenley says, Scotty, I got a 2019 Honda Fit, 19,000 miles, mostly city driving. Should I change the transit fluid now or later? Okay, the transmission fluid. Let's be conservative because it's a CVT. I would just change it every 30, 40,000 miles and leave it at that. And when it gets to 30, 40,000 miles, go ahead and change it. Watch my video, how to change CVT transmission fluid. Do it yourself. It's not rocket science. Just need a couple of tools, a pan to drain it out in, and then you pour it, measure how much came out, and pour the same amount back in. It's not rocket science. And if you do it yourself, you use the right Honda fluid, and you know it's done right. Because I had a customer years ago that he moved out of town, and he had his Toyota CVT transmission changed somewhere else, and about a year later, the transmission went out. And I know for sure it went out because the guy didn't do it right. I told him, you should have done it yourself. Then it'd be done right. Or pay me to do it, but he had moved out of town, so he didn't let me do it anymore. Well, as usual with coronavirus, people have been doing insane things. There's a guy now that got 1,450 horsepower from the Ford 7.3-liter Godzilla engine. The V8. Now, it's just a pushrod engine, right? And this guy started souping them up. Guy by the name of Brian Wolf got 1,450 horsepower out of one. Now, it's done on a dyno. Hasn't been on to see what it does on the actual road. And it's got underdriver on the supercharger, everything to make it spin faster. But it still has quite a few original parts. The block, crank, and head casting are all original, as are the coils. Now, realize that he's got to run this stuff on super race gas. And even when you buy it in bulk, it's over $18 a gallon for the stuff. And you know it's going to be sucking gas down like no tomorrow. But you want that kind of horsepower. That's what he got out of that Godzilla engine. With the supercharger stuck on it, of course. Well, it just shows. If you give American men a lot of spare time, they'll do some pretty crazy things and take things to the max. A little bit more than a Hellcat engine, so, you know, the battle goes on in American giant V8 engines. And still pushrod, too. We're talking old school. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.